Before we get to the video, check out my Patreon linked in the description of this video, where for $5 a month you get exclusive content such as sneak peeks at projects like upcoming videos, dioramas, stop motions, photography. You'll get a shout out in videos like this one. I also take video requests. You can see behind the scenes of my stop motions in toy photography, as well as exclusive stop motions in photography. Again, you get all these perks on my Patreon for $5 a month. Link to join in the description of this video. Now let's get to it. Guys, oh man, as you can tell by the title of this video, our hopes and dreams and prayers have been answered today, finally. So, us hardcore Transformers fans, who are adults, young adults, teenagers, whatever, we have been asking for a more mature, adult-based sort of story from media in terms of an actual show. We got it in the form of comic books, with IDW in the past and now with the Skybound stuff. But with the cartoons, we're finally getting something adult-based, and this is going to be hitting the TV marketplace soon. This article is from Deadline, who actually presented the previous rumor back in June that I covered here on the channel, that they put out there would be an adult-based Transformers series in the works based off of these comics, and now they have officially confirmed that this is happening, and it should be coming out at some point soon down the line, and it is going to be in the hands of a TV marketplace soon. And we have Joe Henderson as the showrunner for this series. It's going to be a shared universe with the Void Rivals, G.I. Joe, and Transformers based off these comics. So there's an excerpt of the article here that I'm going to read on TFW, and I'll give you guys my extended thoughts on everything here as always. Exclusive! Robert Kirkman's Skybound Entertainment has teamed with Hasbro Entertainment to produce Energon Universe, an adult animated series based on the comics of the same name created by Kirkman. Joe Henderson, Lucifer, is attached to write the adaptation and serve as showrunner on the series, an epic crossover of G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Void Rivals mythology, which is expected to be taken out to buyers shortly. Despite featuring the family-friendly Hasbro characters G.I. Joe and Transformers, the Energon Universe series will be broad with adult sensibility in the vein of Kirkman's gritty adult animated series Invincible, based on his comic, which has been a hit for Prime Video, renewed for Season 5 ahead of its Season 4 premiere next March. Kirkman, a Transformers and G.I. Joe fan since childhood, won the comic book publishing rights to the signature Hasbro brands in 2021. He went on to create a cohesive, shared universe in which Transformers and G.I. Joe coexist together, alongside original IP Void Rivals, which Kirkman co-created with Lorenzo De Felici. I almost got scared there. I thought you said Lorenzo de Bonaventura. But no, 2 years in, Energon Universe has become one of Hasbro's best-selling comic book lines ever, with over 7 million combined units sold worldwide. It launched in June 2023 with Void Rivals, which featured the surprise appearance of Transformers character Jetfire on the final page. That was followed by the October 2023, blah, blah, blah. It just basically goes on to give a little bit of a history of the comics and what Hasbro's doing right now, which we don't need to get into. But, this quick little excerpt here from the article that TFW posted gives us everything we need to know. And I gotta say, I am so freaking excited for this, guys. This has been a long time coming. And to be honest with you guys, I was thinking this was going to happen at some point sooner rather than later. I don't know if I said this in previous videos over the last year or two or not since these Skybound comics came out, but I've been thinking, they did this with The Walking Dead, they did it with Invincible, and Kirkman is obviously attached to both of those. He basically helped create both of those IPs. And, what if this happens with Transformers, G.I. Joe, Void Rivals, blah, 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 and here we are 2 years later, it's happening. And, this is solely based off of us, the fans, and just people involved with this that went out and supported these comics and, made videos about it, content, saying how much we want to see this put into cartoon form, more adult sensibilities. And we're finally getting this. I think this is a major step in the right direction for the Transformers brand and Hasbro in the 2020s, in the 2030s, and beyond. This is really going to step us back into, I wouldn't say mainstream, because Transformers is obviously still very mainstream. It's one of the biggest selling IPs in the world. But, something that brings it to 2020s culture and onward. These animes, these adult-based cartoons cartoons based off of previous comics like Invincible, The Boys. There's been quite a few examples over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and Transformers is finally tapping into that growing massive market since this decade started, basically. And this is freaking alien robots at war. It's obviously going to sell good if the show is good. This is going to be a really big, exciting time to be a Transformers fan and for Transformers media in general. Like, this is big right here, guys. And some people, I don't even think we truly know how big this is for the future of the media and the brand. Like, what if this takes over and this becomes like what we get in terms of Transformers media and cartoons going forward, more streaming, adult-based, exclusive content, and then stuff like Cyberworld gets more of the cheaper budget, lesser known, and it just goes on to YouTube, the Transformers page, Hasbro page, whatever on YouTube, and that's that, for the kids. And then, the more adult-based stuff gets put onto streaming and television and whatever. And that's like the main focus going forward, because I think Hasbro is slowly starting to realize this, with the failures of Earthspark, RAD 2015, Cyberverse, the lower sales. I think they're starting to realize that the market is growing more and more so into the adults, the people that grew up on the past eras of Transformers, whether that's the movies or G1 or Beast Wars, Unicron Trilogy, animated, whatever, Prime. That whole fan base from 10, 15, 20, 40 years ago, we're getting older, we're all basically adults outside of some of us. If you maybe grew up on Prime, you're probably still like a late teenager or, around my age or something. But, this is something that is going to affect Transformers for the long run, I think. If I were to guess, now this is just me purely speculating in this video. I don't have any insider knowledge. I really never claim to say I have insider knowledge unless I'm actually given something. So I am just speculating that I think this show is going to mark a great start for Hasbro Transformers media, that this is going to be the focus, Transformers cartoon media that is centered more for adults. No more cheesy dialogue or cheesy storylines for kids, where they have to keep it in line with what a 6-year-old would want to watch. This is for the 20-something, 30-something, 50-something year olds, 40-something. And this is where it's at, I think. I think this is what's going to bring Transformers into something that we fans have really been kind of dreaming of for the last 5 to 10 years. And hopefully this gets us back on track for another Transformers game at some point soon that's, more serious for teenagers, adults, whatever, in line with those War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, and movie games back in the day. I hope this is the start for something big and something cohesive and just straightforward for Transformers, because we need this. Keep this cartoon going. I want there to be a season 4 and 5 like with Invincible right now for, a Transformers G.I. Joe shared universe adult-based cartoon. There is so much they could tap into with the premise of this being made for adults. Alien robots at war. You got the military in there. You got a terrorist organization with those two clashing along with the Autobots and Decepticons and whatever else they want to bring in there, whether that's Maximals, Predacons, Quintessons, whatever else, Void Rivals. And, there is just so much ripe for the picking. Not even just, the G1 characters that are already appearing in these Skybound comics, but they could, for future seasons or future comics, I think I said this in previous videos, but, delve into other characters and other iterations to put together with these G1 characters, kind of like what IDW did here and there with certain characters, but way better. I think, the premise and with how Skybound is doing things, it could be done a lot better, and I think it will be if they ever do, reach for characters from, say, Beast Wars or Unicron Trilogy or Prime, Aligned Continuity, stuff like that. So yeah, guys, as you can tell, I'm just really excited. My mind is just running wild for the possibilities and ideas for the next 5 to 10 years for this show that's going to be happening. And it seems like this guy, Joe Henderson, he has a good track record. He did that Lucifer show, which I think was was pretty well received. I never saw it, but I remember there, hearing and reading about good things about that show. So, there's a lot of good prospects about this right now. So I'm going to remain super excited until, there's later word. If anything goes wrong, I'll let you guys know. But it seems like this is going to be a positive mark for the Transformers franchise going forward for the foreseeable future. But yeah, guys, let me know down below. How do y'all feel about this news here? Are you excited for more of an adult-based Transformers cartoon based off of the Energon Universe comics, or are you not? And yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye.